What's up, everybody? A Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on Space Engineers. When we left off in the last episode, I was actually in creative mode the entire time and trying to build a new drilling system to replace the moon pogo thing. And I actually think I've worked it out with the help of Dragon Loon, whom I quoted their name the last time. But we had a Discord conversation, and he helped me kind of sort out some of the intricacies of the leapfrogging mining system. And so I think I finally got it working. I don't have all the logic set up quite yet. But we're gonna work on tearing this down first, I think, which is a bit of a risk that I maybe I might have this off to the side somehow. I'm not sure. I don't want to completely tear it down, but it kind of is in the way. Well, actually, we can probably start off by laying the foundation a little bit. So, we're gonna keep it relatively similar. Have I just left this door open this whole time? Oops. Apparently this is not filling up with air. Oh well. Let's grab some steel plates, some interior stuff. It should let us place some blocks. So essentially, yeah, I know I left the door open. I don't care right now. So essentially, one of the things we're gonna do is we need to make sure we're right at center here. Actually, I'm going to break that one, because that's going to actually be... Well, I guess it doesn't need to be right there, now that I think about it. It would be right below it. So we'll go ahead and put a block there. So that's absolute center for the ring that we have set up here. So, what I need to do... Actually, you know what I might do? Is I might move this a little bit further over and put the sorter and connector right there, and that might get it out of the way enough. How long is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I can't recall, but I think I did like 5 on each side or something, because in total I think we did a 10 or a 7 by 7 mining ring. Let me do some checking and get this set up, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so progress report. We're doing pretty decently. I've gotten the pogo moved over here for a minute. Eventually, I'm going to run a conveyor line from there to connect the system to the main moon base system. But we've got a projector running with the... I've heard this called differently. I'm calling it the platform because it is still considered part of the drilling platform. I've seen a lot of people that are doing, I guess what these are called, TBMs. But, yeah, that's what I'm being told they're called. If they're not, then not my fault. But I'm told that these are often referred to as spurs or something, but I'm just calling it a platform because I don't care. Now, there was a little bit of trickery, tomfoolery that went along with this section, and for some reason, because of the whole multi-grid blueprint thing, it was not letting me keep a blueprint of this, so I'm having to build it manually. I wanted to have a projector going this way so that I could kind of see what was going on, but it's not letting me. So, we're doing it the old-fashioned way. So, one of the things that I encountered that Dragon Loon helped me with was the leapfrogging, essentially, of these merge connection points. And the problem that we ran into was that although I had connectors, and at one point this was even a full real tube just to see if they would align properly, the merge blocks were having issues, as I showed you in the last episode, that they wouldn't merge and they wouldn't connect correctly. And then once I got that figured out, the projector that is going to go on this grid, that's going to basically keep moving, and then when it gets down to this point is going to keep the projection grid going down further, that was not projecting correctly. It wouldn't allow me to actually weld up from here. And what I found was that basically Space Engineers is really wonky when it comes to connections, or rather merge systems. So what I've been doing here, just to keep everything really nice and tight, is I'll keep all of the connectors set to 100% strength, but I leave them off until they're merged. The exception being, well, actually that's not an exception either. They have 100% on these, what I'm calling the root connectors as well. But I don't use those. Really, the root is to keep it started, but once it gets going, it's not going to do that. So, I've also got, I realized I named this wrong. So in my other world, I had it as drill H upper, I think. So we're going to go with that to keep it a little more simple. We should be able to connect this up. And it's not. Awesome. Okay, so this has happened before. I wanted to get some things squared away in my head and make sure I knew what I was doing. So this happened before, as you remember in the last episode. The way that I fixed this before, now we've got the connector here, so it should be fine. In fact, I'm going to weld up some of this stuff to get rid of some of my inventory real quick. Just to get it kind of going. And empty out my inventory, because I'm going to need to grind down the merge blocks, essentially, which is the problem here. So the way that I fixed this before in my creative world and got it working, and really just want to make sure that's still connected, okay. So is to take all this out, right? Because apparently, this is the part that frustrates me with Space Engineers. This is on a connector, that was on a merge block, those, why? It's like, it's all being, like, fused to the same grid. Actually, you know what? Hold up. Might have messed that up. Give me just a second, because now that I'm thinking about it, I think it was this connector that was actually messing things up before. So let's try something else here. We're going to weld this up and merge it. And I think what we're going to do, let's try it this way, is we'll extend the piston. If I can find it. I just renamed it, now I can't find it. Okay, we're going to extend that, and that should give us an error, right? Now it really came. Whatever, it works. This step right here is what I'm finding is kind of the main step that you want to get to work. Once that's there, you can kind of go about your merry way, essentially. So now that this is connected, we'll turn this on and we'll lock it, and that'll just give us another layer of connection for materials as well as well, connection to support it. Eventually, this will not be here. This is just to get the build aligned correctly. Why that worked, I don't know. Last time in Creative, I built this out with a piston and then put a merge block on it and just extended it up until it grabbed it and then disconnected this guy, but it's working, so what the heck ever. None of these are fully formed, I suppose. So, the only thing that I will say that I did have to mess with was on this guy. I did have to set this to a minimum setting, which I will fix once I can figure out which one it actually is and name it all properly, but I wanted to do kind of a bit of a progress report. So what I'm going to do is we're going to weld up all these pistons and the merge blocks and the connectors, and then I've got to at least build the blueprint down to this point. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add a single conveyor tube, and then we're going to do a conveyor line up to, I think it's going to be this point here. And then, I keep saying and then, sorry, we're going to use welders. I want to make sure that the, wrong button, make sure the face is pointing out correctly. And we're going to do E34. Now, this was something that Dragon Loon warned me about as well, is that in creative, your welders and stuff are going to be essentially faster than in survival. So sometimes the build works in survival, in creative, and it doesn't work in survival. So we're going to kind of do this as a test run, essentially. Now, obviously the ports aren't lined up completely, but it won't matter once I get the drills, if I can ever find them. Where'd they go? Okay, I'm not losing my mind. I know they are on the hotbar. Oh, screw it. I don't care. I'm sure they're on the hotbar, but they're on the hotbar now. So, now, this is the center. So we want to go from here. Oh, I was like, wait a minute. No. Don't you tell me that I can't do that. Okay, so we're going to go from that center point, and we're going to go out 6, I think, on each side, and make a plus sign. That's going to be probably the biggest amount of resources we got to do, is welding up all the drills. But let me get everything set up, and we'll go from there. Okay, so update number 2. We've got the drills laid out, and I've got the welders and pretty much everything above the welders finished, I think. So I've got everything set where it was before, and it should be adjusted and all that kind of stuff. So now, sort of, the moment of truth is to see if these pistons will, or these merge blocks will merge with these. And as you can tell, I did have to set them slightly lower, because if I went a block higher and set them up here, which they originally were in the last episode, they didn't quite line up all the way, so I had to go down a block and then kind of extend the piston down. I think it's like a half a block or something like that. So I should be able to find the lower... Oh wait, no, not that one. I want the horizontal lower. Extend that one out. Please work. Please. Awesome. Okay, so now we're in business. So now... Oh, I forgot one big thing. I didn't do the timer blocks. Let's do lower connector. Turn you on. Lock that. Okay, so we are fully locked up now. Now, if I'm right, and I'm actually going to make a second or a fifth save, apparently, I should be able to break that, and it should be fine. Why that actually separated... Oops. Oh well. Why that actually separated, I don't really know. I guess it wasn't fully merged or something like that. But the other thing that I completely forgot about was timer blocks. Now, I've said this before... Oh, and the projector. I forgot the projector too. Ooh, I'm just batting 1,000 here. There it is. Can't find it. So the other thing... Really? Interior plates. It's always the one thing I don't have. My inventory is full, and I never have what I actually need. So let's go ahead and set... I actually had figured out how this worked, but I think we're just going to put it down like that. Oh, good. We have enough to actually build it. Okay, cool. So what this is going to do is basically where this one's projecting this thing, that's going to do it. But what I found is that I had it back here and it wasn't lining up right. By putting it on the merge block, when this actually connects, then it's like part of the same grid, so it's fine. But if you put it way back here, because of the piston thing and stuff, it seems to be fussy about, well, it's not actually part of that grid, so I don't want to connect to it, or blah, 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 blah. I do have the inertia tensors set for all of the pistons to share, so that we get as little wobble as possible on the drills, because there's a lot of weight here. And actually, I have tested this out. When the drills are full and the system inside is full, like it can't process any faster, the pistons will not retract because there's too much weight. So they'll only extend and retract. Well, actually, extension's probably not a problem, but it'll only retract when the drills are empty. So that's part of the thing too. But there's not a lot I can do about that other than just make the drill frame smaller, which I was kind of like, I don't really want to do, since it's only really supposed to go down anyway. that is, if this is all working correctly, then, you know, I don't really need it to actually come back up, because it should just be continuing this connection extension type thing. Now, the one thing that I'm not fond of is in my creative world, I had 8 timers in total to give myself enough of time to do the sequences. However, I am definitely debating on scripting it, because there's a lot of things that I see going wrong. This is an interesting proof of concept, like, can you do this? But, for example, if the drills were full and it couldn't retract, I wouldn't want the timers to continue to keep leapfrogging, because they would eventually run out of materials. And again, you know, it's kind of like the same thing with the materials setup. If you run out of materials and you're not actually building this center pillar, well, then what's it going to attach to? And the timers, if they keep going, you know, then obviously timers do have their own thing. Like, if it says to connect to something and it can't, I believe they throw an error and whatnot, but still, I'm tempted to script the thing, or at least what I may do is set up the timer blocks, but then have the timer blocks triggered, the first one that starts the sequence, by the programmable block. That's one idea that I have as well. So this is now set up. We need to change the projector to where the projector on the merge block is what's doing the pillar projection. We need to weld up all of the drills, and I need to set up the timer block, if nothing else, just to see if we can get it going. Or actually, I might do it manually this episode just to see if we can get it up and running. But honestly, I don't know if the drills are going to be done, because this is a crap ton of resources that I don't actually even know that I have. We may have to do another run or two with this guy. I'm not really quite sure how I want to do this, because if we don't have all of the drills connected, then some of the conveyors won't be fed, essentially. Like if you have a couple of drills way out here, but then these aren't done or something, we could have a problem. So I'm going to play around with this, but mainly I'm going to actually wait on the timer blocks, because for this episode, if nothing else, I can probably do it manually. But I don't know how much resources it's going to take to do these drills, and they're kind of the whole point. So I am going to be very interested to see how this goes. But yeah, so let me work on trying to do the drills, and then we may have done everything we need to get things going. Alright, and like everything, there is good news and there's bad news. So as you can see, we've gotten quite a bit done on the drills, but there's a freaking crap ton of these drills as well. And it has pushed my resources to the brink. I've already done away with the pogo, but we've gotten a little bit of a weird mixed situation going on here where this thing is not done, but it's functional enough that I've been able to kind of inch my way down into this crater area. As you can see here, I did focus on like these edge ones and make sure that they're connected and stuff so that they actually transfer the ore. So we've kind of been working our way down a little bit, but I started trying to work on this side because, as you can see here, this butted up here. I've used a lot of materials on this. I believe, if I did my math right, all of these drills would take about 50,000 steel plates, plus all the, large steel tubes and all that. I've pretty much got everything done except for the steel plates. I've gotten all the large tubes and the motors and blah, 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 blah. It's just so many steel plates that I have not been able to get that done. So what I'm going to probably do, I don't want this video to be an hour long, and I'm also probably needing to get this done. This is pretty late in the evening before this episode goes live, so I've got to get it edited and all that stuff. So I'm probably going to have to cut it here and just work on this a bit off camera, a little at a time. But basically, the process is going to be little at a time, letting the drill go a little bit more and a little bit more, and I'm getting probably about 60 to 100k of stone per little jaunt down. So I'm hoping that I can kind of just keep making a few plates here and there and welding up some more drills and so on and whatnot, and eventually I'll reach the point where it's finished. Now, as for the functional part here, this is going to be a little bit tricky because I know that a lot of people do these with timers. I've seen them done on YouTube. Even Dragonloons that he was helping me out with was talking about using timers. But I really think I want to go with a script route, so I may try and work on that off camera while I'm also trying to build this up. Hopefully next episode, at least the whole drill rig is done, if not the script as well. The reason being that there's just a lot of, and somebody else can feel free to comment on this when you see it if you have a solution for this or if I'm barking up the wrong tree, but there's a lot of issues that I see in terms of making sure that there's enough materials to weld up the main pillar, making sure that everything is timed properly, and again, you can use timers and estimate the time, but with a script, I can actually just tell it, you know, once the pistons have reached the certain length that they're supposed to, then you can start the process of leapfrogging and so on and whatnot. If there's not enough materials, if the welders are empty, you can throw a flag or stop the whole process until they get materials. Or I could go in and have it queue up in the assemblers to make the materials, and then if it doesn't have enough material, then throw a flag. Like, there's just a lot more control I'd have over it, over a script, but I do have to kind of work that out in my head and figure out how I'd want the sequence to actually work in what you're supposed to do and blah, blah, blah. So for now, I may end up doing some of it manually, or at least keeping an eye on the drills and stuff when I'm using it for now. I don't know yet. Obviously, if that happens, I'll be doing it off camera and won't make you guys have to sit there and watch me build the pillar thing, or even let this build it, but queue up the assembler and move all the pistons and all that stuff. But either way, once the drills are done, we're in a good spot for materials, because as Dragonloon and I were talking about, if this sequence and blueprint and everything works correctly, you could basically just, you know, core to the center or through the other side of the moon. So I'm pretty sure we'll be good on resources for a little bit. Now, it'd be interesting if we cored all the way through the moon, then what to do? Like, do you get a little tug ship and bring it back up and move it over? So how's that work? But anyway, so that'll be definitely a different bridge to cross when we get there. But for now, I think I'm a bit bottlenecked in that I don't have the resources to actually continue this, and just in the interest of time, I'm going to have to probably stop it here. But functionally, it seems to work in practice. There might be some bugs and tweaks, like, do I need more welders because it's not welding it up fast enough? I think 4 will be fine, but I don't know. You know, will I need to do timer blocks or a programmable block or whatever? Those little logistical things I'll have to work out, but in terms of architecture and function, it does seem to be functional and set up properly, because the merge block thing and the different heights concerned me because I was having problems with that in creative. This seems to be doing fine with it, and we got it all connected and whatnot, so I think everything is good. So I think we got it working, we just need to complete it, and that's something I can do on my own. So with that, I think we're going to wrap things up here for this episode. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. Peace.